According to Thomas Hobbes, the social contract theory is the origin of society and legitimacy of authority of the state over the individual, where individuals surrender their liberty in return for protection. What does this then mean for people who find themselves existing outside of this contract? What does it mean for individuals whose natural freedoms and power are already predetermined for them based on the norms and values that already exist within our society? Joy James discusses this within her article when she speaks of racially fashioned people needing to remain outside of the social contract because they are not included within it. She argues that if you are a marginalized citizen, then you are excluded from the state of nature because it positions race as a predeterminant of one's power and natural freedoms. The readings on the existence and Black identity can be used to analyze and understand what it means to exist outside of the social contract. Existentialism is defined as the existence of the individual as a free being whom is capable of determining their own development through acts of free will, meaning that we construct our own existence and identity. In Naomi Sachs's article, she discusses race as being part of one's identity and the idea of agency. Zach claims that agency amongst racially fashioned citizens is freer if one removes all of their racial oppression within their identity, or if one, in her words, becomes raceless. She sees racial identification as problematic because race does not exist within the body, but in the minds of those who perform racial identification. For example, within existentialism, race has nothing to do with your identity because you see race as an illusion and not affecting who you are as an individual. This, Zach states, is based on the idea that one's sense of self and one's identity is solely based on what is personal, which she argues is not the case. Zach goes on to discuss how racialized identities are inescapable because a racially fashioned individual is constantly struggling with the idea of racism. This can be recognized as how the social contract does not apply to someone who has a racialized identity because they are denied their own liberties based on their race. The denial of a liberated identity amongst individuals who are racially fashioned can also be seen within Robert Burt's article. Burt quotes the work of Herbert Marcuse, which states that one's identity must be constructed in his consciousness and self-consciousness, in his relation to self, the world, and others. Marcuse's work analyzed Freud's use of psychoanalysis and its emphasis on consciousness, reason, and individual freedom. Marcuse used the ideas of pleasure principle and the reality principle within Freud's work to explain how one's identity is a combination of the two within society. The pleasure principle consisting of one's actions for immediate gratifications, which are affected by the reality principle, the social conditions that are external to the individual. Neither can exist without the other, similar to Burt's discussion of the development of human identity as a process of self-invention influenced by social relations. These social relations can be restraining to an individual's identity because of the various forms of social domination. Burt specifically applies the idea of social domination to the identities of Black people within a value system of white supremacy. Burt states that how Black people see themselves as inferior beings to whiteness and how their conscious identity is one defined as dominated beings. This marginalization and domination of Black people excludes them from belonging within the social contract.